guys, and welcome to today's video. Now if you're new to the channel, I will explain. I do actually have two cars. I've got the Honda Civic Type R FN2 and then the Honda Civic in the same shape, but it's a 2.2 CTDI. Now if you watched my previous video, you've seen that I've actually taken the inlet manifold off at the minute because I was replacing the starter motor, and that manifold is actually still off at the minute. So in the meantime, there is something that I did order, just something that's been niggling me that I wanted to correct on the daily. Now as long as something does the job right, I'm not bothered about brands with that car, I just want it to run okay. The one thing that's been niggling me, and I am scared of it getting worse, is there is a chip in the windshield, and it's like directly in front of me as well. I can full on see it constantly. So I thought I'd take a chance, and I'm going to get one of those like self-repair kits for under a tenner. The thing that's always put me off like self-repair kits is because it doesn't really, usually you just put the stuff in, it doesn't really involve any pressure or anything like that. And I've seen some other videos that's been done professionally, and there's a lot of pressure and vacuuming involved to get all the air out whilst the resin is going in. I was looking through, and these seem to be everywhere on eBay now, and it's basically a system where it does involve pressure and then vacuuming the air out. Not as professionally like a proper piece of kit, but it's a little makeshift thing. And fingers crossed we can get it kind of alright. The main thing I want is to stop it from cracking up the windshield, so windscreen, windshield, whatever you want to call it. So this is 20 minutes repair time. I've had a look at the instructions. They're not, well they are in English, but there's a loads of spelling mistakes and loads of punctuation that's incorrect. So stuff like put the cunning liquid down the shaft, meaning the curing liquid. I don't think it's that cunning, it's got to do it itself. Anyway, like all videos, I always ramble for too long at the beginning, so let's crack on. Oh, look at this. That's wrong. Right, so sorry again. I had to film this a little bit differently, just because I had to do this on the street rather than on my front garden, so I hadn't filmed out there for ages. I felt a bit uncomfortable. And normally I'd explain what I'm doing when I'm doing it, and obviously there are people walking past, so I've got to get out of the way. Plus my neighbours will literally just stand at the window like that, just looking at me like, "What's he doing, Beverly?" And I didn't want that, so I'm going to tell you through what I did, and the videos will accompany that. So the first thing it mentions is to remove any like loose glass or anything from it, because you're meant to do it as early as possible. I received the car with this chip, and I've had the car since January, so yeah, there were no way we're going to get it absolutely perfect, but I use a toothpick to try and get any kind of like dirt bits inside out, putting a bit of glass cleaner on it, and I also use some glass cleaner to wipe the thing down before I started applying anything to it. So then you're just going to make sure that the ring in the middle is centered over the top of the suction cups, that kind of thing. So basically the entry to the chip needs to be bang in the middle of that circle when you're applying it down. Legs are a bit flexible, so you do have a bit of leeway as well. But I don't know about you, but as long as the cleaner, give my cups give him a little lick, give him a little licky lick. They're not going to go anywhere then, are they? Especially with all this extra pressure that's going to be going on it. So second step, screw the resin chamber into the centre ring, screw down the resin chamber, turning it clockwise basically. So you're screwing it in and screwing it in and screwing it in until there's like a rubber butt on the end that butts gently up against the glass. So you keep turning it until it's like pressurised, not too tight but pressurised, so that the rubber butt is like basically like a rubber washer between the shaft and the glass. Step 3, squeeze 3 to 6 drops. I did about 5 or 6 just because I know it will quite spread underneath the glass of the repair resin down inside the shaft, or the resin chamber should we say. If the resin leaks out of the bottom of the resin chamber, gently turn the resin chamber clockwise, just enough to prevent leakage. So basically it's not tight enough then, but nothing came out of the bottom of mine, so we're absolutely fine. Step 4, screw the pressure driver into the resin chamber to drive the resin into the brake. So it's like a centerpiece. There's no like rubber bushing or anything on this, it's literally plastic on plastic, so I don't know how much pressure it actually produces. I'm guessing not that much. But you basically screw it in until you can't screw it in any further. So you tighten it until it's pretty much almost all the way in. I did it all the way in by accident, so don't do what I did. Check from the outside of the car to make, from the inside of the car to make sure the rubber mouth has opened wide. Allow the repair resin time to be absorbed into the brake, 4 to 6 minutes or so. depending on the extent of the damage. So I did about 4 to 6 minutes, like I said. If the repair resin has not reached all areas of the brake, you may apply heat on the inside of the windshield with a hot air gun or a hydrier, not included. I don't even know where to get a hydrier. Use caution, excessive driver, about 1/4 turn to push the repair resin further into brake. Also, you can give it a bit more push if you want to, basically, by turning it a bit more clockwise. Step 5 now, this is the funky bit. So unscrew and remove the pressure driver from the resin chamber. So that's the inside bit, remove from the outside bit. To release any air trapped in the chamber, reinsert the pressure driver and screw down again to displace any air remaining in the brake. To determine if the repair resin has been absorbed into the brake, look at the glass from an angle about 45 degrees. Make sure no air bubbles remain in the brake, or check directly behind the glass or get in the car and have a look inside. Any bits that it hasn't got to, it will appear like dark green or black. So it's basically shadowed glass where it's still chipped away. Is any damage still visible? Which there was. Repair steps 4 and 5. So basically do the whole thing again with the resin. Make sure there's enough repair resin remaining in the resin chamber. I did do it again. It made it slightly better. I couldn't get to all the points. It's probably because there's that much. I couldn't fully clean it out and it's been there for that long. And by the end of it, on the second go, I actually started having resin on my fingers because what it were doing were it were pressurising down into the chamber. But like I said, there's no rubber bushings or anything like that. Bushings, seals, squish seals. So as it was going in, you were screwing it in, it was actually making its way up the pressurizer and coming out, so you can't really add any extra pressure, can you? Either way, that's how I was leaving it. I was happy with that. So step 6 then, after the air has been removed, quote, turn the resin chamber and pressure driver together half a turn to the left, counterclockwise. Then you remove the entire thing with the suction cups. You don't unscrew it out all the way. Make sure you've got like a cloth. I had a bit of tissue ready because once you remove the pressure, there's still going to be a bit of resin left to drip off the end of the nib, shall we say, the rubber nib. Get that white, make sure you don't go flying down your windscreen, which mine did. Now you add a drop of repair resin. I didn't see a drop, I thought 2 drops, so I did 2 drops like an idiot. Onto the area where the damage is still visible and cover it with a curing strip. When applying the curing strips to the repair, no pressure is necessary. Gently place the strips on the glass. So basically all that's going to do is when it dries and cures, it's going to make sure that it's pretty much completely flat, and then once you remove that, it's easier to get it flat again, basically. One thing I will say that I completely forgot to say, this whole procedure you need to be doing out of sunlight or when it's overcast kind of thing, which it was pretty much all overcast the whole time I was doing it. But then, they think you can control the weather, or you've got like a lovely garage to put the car in that you can do this. Because once all that's done, it needs to be in direct sunlight for about 5 to 10 minutes. Now obviously I didn't have any direct sunlight, so it's pretty much were there for about 15 to 20 minutes for me. I left it a bit longer, well, nearly twice as long. Then after that you can remove the curing strip. Now one thing that on the diagram it actually shows you peeling it up with the razor that comes with it. I'm going to say do not peel it up, because if you peel up the strip you're more likely to pull the resin away from the chip. I actually saw a really good tip on a channel, shout out to Ammo NYC. That's like one of the most precise detailing channels I have ever seen. Some of the stuff he does is amazing, and they had a proper professional chip repair company that comes in. It's literally made the chip bit nicer than the rest of the windscreen. It was that perfect. And what they said is when you're removing that, push the strip towards it so that it bends it up, because then if you're doing that, instead of peeling it away, you're just lifting it away from the chip itself, pretty much causing less damage and less like a chance to ruin all the hard work. Then you've got that off, you need to hold your razor blade at about 90 degrees, so pretty much like adjacent to the windscreen, and scrape off any of the excess that's above glass level. Don't worry, I thought I'm going to start scratching my windscreen here. It won't do that. It'll literally just scratch the resin away until you get to a flat point again. Make sure you get rid of all of that, because last thing you want is a little bit stuck there, and then when you're using your wiper it's going to be putting a bump in your wiper and you're not going to get very nice streaks. Now one thing that I've just read that I completely forgot is if there's still like blemish that remains, put another drop on it and another curing strip, and then it says to go over the curing strip with the razor blade to draw out any extra resin that needs to come to the surface. I didn't do that, so I probably didn't do the best job I possibly could. What I did do though is, once I was done, I went over it with some Auto Glim Super Resin polish, just to kind of like make sure that it were as much of a mirror finish as possible, transitioning into the actual glass. So that's one thing I've done. It's up to you. You might think I'm not going to use that kind of polish on glass. It's completely your choice, but that's just something I did. And that's that. That's the application done. So questions about it. Was it easy to use? Yes, it was very easy to use. It's pretty much simple and self-explanatory, even though I obviously buggered up plenty of times. Does it look like it says it should look when it's done? Not really. You could still see the shadowing in it. Even though there is like a decent improvement, it's still noticeable. That's the only thing. So if you, like a lot of people say that chip repair is covered through your insurance, then they'll obviously have a company like Autoglass, something like that, that'll come and repair it, and I think they prefer you to do that because it's a lot more environmentally friendly than throwing away windscreens for replacement every time. Plus it prevents it from cracking. So which leads me on to the last question, which is, has it repaired it? I'd like to say it sort of has. It feels flat, it feels like it's filled, and it feels like it's strong. So the main purpose of that for me was to prevent the chances of it cracking up the windshield. So I think when it comes to doing that, it's 100% good. 100% good. You could probably do it a lot better than I have if the chip was quite raw, you got it quite early on. You'd probably be better, loads better. And if you did do the heating from the inside, that kind of thing, you could probably do a better job than I have, but I just wanted to make sure. I didn't rush it, but I just wanted to make sure it was done. What's your thoughts on this? Or is there any other ones that you've seen that might be a little bit more expensive, that does the job better? Would you never recommend these? Put in the comment section below, let me know what you think. But like I always mention in my videos, I hope it has been useful. I hope it's giving you confidence if there's anything that you want to do with your own car. Even if you're not a mechanic, I'm not a mechanic, so not this one mechanical, but you get the picture. One thing I do want to mention before I go, actually, I have had Sony phones since I was at like single digit age. I've always had Sony phones. This time it was time for an upgrade, and I just wanted to try something different. So I've gone to the OnePlus 7T, and the reason why oh god, I forgot that I can do things like that. I just wanted to do a massive shout out and a thank you to Ariba Designs that have sent me another case to go with my new phone that's custom to the rear of my car. So the number plate, stickers, everything is literally the same as my car, which is brilliant, especially managing to adapt it on a phone that's so long. Unfortunately, I think their site is actually closing, so the fact that it popped another one through for me just to get one last one out and be able to rep it on this phone for a couple of years, that's really kind of them, and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Until next time, like you always say, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.